Hello, welcome to the It's All Good show. Lucas here for a chat. My name is Denise Belisle, and I'm a serenity expert and positive intelligence specialist. I'm excited to have, now it's December, the first week of December, the run to the end of the year. So how are we going to end the year? Are we going to end the year strong? We'll find out. Today, my guest is Yolunda Elam, and because Yolanda is not as nice as Yo, so Yo is my guest today, and she's a motivational comedian. But I'll get back to her in a second. First, I want to introduce why I call this show It's All Good. If you watch a previous episode of me, you know. But for those that is the first time you're watching, it's because of my favorite cup. It's all good. And that's also the way I think. That's the way I see my life. Whenever there's an obstacle coming in my way, a speed bump, or things that happen that are unpredicted, and sometimes it's not fun, even like just tapping your toes on the edge of the bed, it's like, oh, like, Christ, that hurts. But then what can you change about it? You can't change it. So you pamper it, you rub it, and say, hey, it's all good. At least I can still walk. I can still, there's always positive things in any negative situation. And there's always a little bit of negative in every positive situation. So when you keep your balance, when you live to the present, you appreciate every one of them. If it is your first time watching me here, and I'm also on YouTube, so you can find me at youtube.com/Denise Belisle. And I have all the previous interviews that I've done. I'm not sure. I think today is 120 or something. Like, it's more than that. It's been, around there. So that's lots of them. So all of them are on YouTube. So you can go and browse and watch until I binge on watching my videos, that would be cool. And also, if you want to be on this show, or if you want to have a chat with me, you can always book an appointment at tiny.cc/talk with Denise. And I'd love to have a whole bunch of different people in the show, people that I found interesting, people that have things to share, to bring to the world. So you always book a call with me. You never know. So before we get started, let's introduce her again. Yolunda Elam, and she's a motivational comedian. I've known her for a couple of years now, if not a little bit more. And we work together in another platform, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's welcome her to the floor. Welcome, Yo.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, and if you want to know more or see more about Yo, go to the October 31st last year, where we had a Halloween party with Monica Henderson, and all three of us were in costume and having fun. And that was a fun episode. I loved that.
I remember being a clown. I remember that.
Yeah, that was fun. So welcome. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Denise.
You're very welcome. So tell me about motivational comedian. So tell me about, what's that? How did that came about?
It was a happy accident. That's the best summarization of it. My friend, our mutual friend Monica, she's always thinking outside the box and doing different random things for herself to celebrate her birthday. So she did a 42-day countdown to turning 42. And at the end of that countdown, she was going to put on her own comedy show. And she was doing a virtual and an in-person experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what? I had some extra miles on my Southwest, account. And I said, I'm gonna go ahead and surprise her and come in person. So I told her, because she didn't like surprises, I said, hey, I know you don't like surprises, but I'm coming to surprise you for your birthday. Oh, yo, that's a good surprise. You can get some stage time. Because at the time I was going to be a motivational speaker, get on stage and tell my story of recovery. And so she's like, you can get on stage and introduce me. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll get on stage. I'll be at the mic, take some pictures of me on the stage. So I was going to be all dressed up or whatever. So I got there the day of. I got there the day of. No, the day before. Anyway, so we're upstairs in the green room, like 10 minutes before she's supposed to go on stage to do her comedy show. And she changes her mind and says, hey, yo, why don't you do a set? And like do a set before me. I was like, what do you mean do a set?
It's like
that's introduction, like, oh, and come to stage, Monica Henderson. I was ready for that, no big deal. She said, do a set. I said, what do you mean do a set? She said, I'll just talk for 10 minutes. Talk about what? tell your story. My story is alcoholism, based on alcoholic, being an alcoholic. So tell your story. My exact words was, bitch, what? That's how, like, so tell your story. I said, bitch, my story is sad. She make it funny. How the hell are you supposed to make alcoholism funny? So this is
Like
all
without practicing it and having
without
put it together.
practicing it at all. No practice. No, let me figure out what I'm gonna say. So I'm upstairs, like, okay, how to start an open mic, how to make alcoholism funny, jokes about alcohol. And I was like, you know what? It's not about me. I'm doing this for her. There is no fucking up because she's so free, open-minded anyway. So I went downstairs, sat on the stool, got the microphone. I talked for 10 minutes and everybody just loved it. Oh my God, yo, you were so funny. Oh, I didn't know. Are you a comedian for real? I'm like, no. And so she, later on, we had a conversation and said, yo, I think that was for you, not for me. Like, she said that. She said, I think, because I know now, because Divine, I know if God had gave that to me, I would have been all in my head, like, oh, I want to show. I'm nervous. What if I mess up? I would have had it scripted and trying to figure out what to say and mad at myself. I didn't say it right and all this other stuff. But I was like, it's not about me. Let me just go down here and do it. So it was natural and it fit perfectly. And so she and I decided to put on our own show and call it a motivational comedy experience.
Oh,
It's
wow.
Motivational Comedian. So instead of, because my initial plan was to get on stages and tag at the heartstrings, get people to cry about the last night I had to drink and the conversation I had with a glass of wine and how I attempted suicide. But no, not to dismantle or not to downplay the seriousness of all that. But I was really trying to get people to cry so they can connect and everything else. But then I was tired of being always feeling sad and having people feel sad and connect. And so I was like, you know what? I can still motivate people and be funny at the same time. And so I thought about that show, Monsters, Inc. Have you ever seen the movie Monsters, Inc.?
Yeah.
With, at the beginning, they were scaring the kids because screams were powerful.
Yeah.
But they realized that laughter was more powerful. So I'm like, oh, I'm just going to Monster Inc. my shit. And that's what I did. I just decided to go for laughter instead of tears. And we'll do another one, I think in January is our next one. But that'd
be cool.
And
you've done 2 so far, isn't it?
Yes and no. If we count that first one for her birthday, that was in April. And then we put on our actual show where we actually wrote out our cars and, planned it out in August. Because we do 2 games. For the experience, we do 2 games, and it's so much fun. There it goes. 2 games. I told you we did 2 games, and it's so much fun to do the games. But the first time, it was like I could say an accident. I told
you. For those that are wondering, she has an app on her camera that creates a whole bunch of little things like that. So they might pop up from time to time.
Because I talk about
I had that.
With my hands.
Yeah, it's all good. And so that's very exciting. I know I watched them both, and I didn't know that on the first one you were just thrown to the lion. I had no idea. You did really awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I was just go do something like, what? I mean, 5 minutes before it was time to go down. So I'm like, forget it.
Just be yourself.
I did. And it worked. It gave me another service I can provide now to get people to come into my space. So yeah.
And tell me about that, be yourself every day. So it's something you've been talking about a lot. So
yeah.
So
that came
tell
from
me a bit about that.
That came from my journey of self-discovery, my journey of recovery through self-discovery. 4 years ago, almost 5, I'll be 5 in March, I was diagnosed with the disease of alcoholism. I ended up in rehab, voluntarily in rehab. And during that process, I was told that I had a disease of alcoholism. And so at the time I was like, oh, yay, finally, I know what's going on. Like I thought I was broken. I thought I was weak. I thought I had bipolarism. I was trying to figure out everything that was wrong with me because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't stop drinking.
And then because you weren't happy, then you would drink, but you didn't think that drinking was the fact that was making you unhappy.
Exactly. It wasn't. But as I started the process of going through after I got out of rehab and trying to figure out how did I get there? How did I get to drinking so much that I tried to take my own life? Like what happened? And so I basically dismantled my life. And I started asking questions about everything. Like, why do I think the way I think? Why do I believe what I believe? Why do I do what I do? And I didn't have any solid answers that came from me. Most of the answers came from external sources.
Yeah.
Like my family, the upbringing, society, religion, had all these other, this is why I think what I think and I feel what I believe what I believe. And I didn't like that. A lot of it I didn't agree with. And I had been doing it because I had been doing it for so long. And so I decided to go through this journey of figuring this out. And in that process, I realized that I was not being authentic, even though I thought I was. I was not being myself, even though I thought I was. So I created Be Yourself Every Day as a platform to reach out to other alcoholics and addicts originally, to get them to also realize that it's not the drinking that was ever the problem. It was not dealing with the stuff that got us there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
once you start dissecting those things, and it's not therapy, but because I did that too, and all those things only took me so far. So I chose to create my own program
Yeah,
because
you got to look inside for
yeah,
you and not to please a therapist or to please a parent or
exactly. Or
yeah.
to live by society standards, or to live by the
Mm-hmm.
program you've been living under all your life. It literally is like you got to ask the hard questions
Mm-hmm.
and then create your own answers. And that's how I got to live in the life I have now, because I asked the hard questions and I'm living my own answers.
Yeah, well, that's super cool because I can understand that there's like not related at all to what you went through. But I remember one time I had like my mom passed away and I was crying all the time,
Hmm.
right? And I was like, and I initially I thought I was sad because my mom was gone, and then both my parents were gone and all. But
Hmm.
then I realized that's not why I was sad. Like initially, because your parent die and then you cry and you think that's because she's gone.
Right.
But then I realized later that she was the connector between me and the rest of my family.
Yeah.
And then I felt like my mom passed away, but then I lost the whole family.
Wow. Yeah.
So once I realized that, I stopped crying, and then I start to reach out, right?
Yes. Yes. Because
Right?
you
Because
wanted
I
to.
didn't know.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of us don't realize that we all deal with some sort of trauma. We all have
Yeah.
some sort of experiences in our past that we have found ways to cope. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, most of the ways that are accessible to us are unhealthy ways.
Yeah.
There's unhealthy ways to cope. You have substances, you have distractions, I mean, addiction is not limited to substance abuse.
No,
People are
no, there's
addicted to
people
work,
that
people are
go
addicted
gambling,
to
people
sleeping.
that have
Yeah,
sex, people that, like there's
exactly.
a whole bunch of things
Gambling,
that people end up
sleeping, working
doing.
out. There's all sorts
Yeah,
of
yeah,
addictions out
yeah.
there. Anything that
Eating.
pulls you away from being who you really are can be considered an addiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It could be, yeah, as you said, it could be overworking out, right? Like people, they have to do like 2 hours a day,
Right.
and they
Yeah.
can't live if they don't have that, right? And it's
Right.
like, well, it's an addiction.
It's funny. It's funny. I learned that I had spent a lot of time FILL in my life, like feeling it, busy, 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 busy. And I never took the time to FEEL, to feel my life. Like I stop now and have to let things surface itself, because they're gonna keep coming back. Those MFs, those emotions, they don't stop. They're gonna keep banging and banging and banging until you allow them to surface and come out. So now I'm getting better and more comfortable allowing them to come out. And I always feel better afterwards. I always feel better
Yeah,
afterwards. I always feel better afterwards.
of course, because like it's like these emotion are like a pipe with too much pressure,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then you get the pressure building up, and then eventually you got a crack in the pipe.
Yeah.
And then it starts to come out, but then what do? We put
Put
tape,
that seal on it. Yeah.
right?
Put that
We
put
put a
that
seal
that
in, we
seal
put
stuff on
tape,
it.
and we
Yes.
say, "I'll be
Uh-huh.
fine, I'll be fine."
Yep.
But
Yep.
then eventually the pressure builds so much more, than that little breakage, it's just like it's gonna blow,
It
right?
does.
And
Yeah.
if we don't deal with that pressure, if we don't look at where that pressure comes from, then it makes it really hard to heal, because eventually we blow up, we have a breakout, like a breakdown, and we yell at someone that normally we would never yell at, or we start crying for no reason, or
Yeah.
whatever the reason are, right? So
Yeah.
that's why these emotional pressure, these emotional push, right? It's just a little push sometime,
So
but
look,
the more we have them and we don't assess them, then they will eventually make
yeah.
make us crack that little
They do.
shell, right?
Yeah, it's like a. I love the pipe analogy. Monica
Hmm.
had told me before about a splinter. It's like you have a splinter in your finger, and it's a little tiny splinter, and you don't think nothing. At first, you'd be like, "Okay, I'll get to it in a minute." Like it's not that bad, you know. It hurts, but it's like I'll get to it. But instead of getting to it, you keep covering it up with all sorts of stuff and stuff and stuff, but you still always feel that splinter. It's like the pee under the bed in that little nursery rhyme. You
Yeah.
still feel it, you know it's there, but now you got to undo all that stuff. But you got to get that splinter out. If you don't figure out that foundation, it doesn't have to be specific. You just gotta get the just sort of the root. Like, why am I feeling the way I feel?
Hmm.
And then you get to make choices. Do I
Yeah.
want to feel this way? Because everything in our life is a choice. Everything I did before that led me up to here has
Yeah.
been a choice, and I chose to own that. I chose to
Yeah.
take big R responsibility and own all the choices I made that led me to here.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't the best, but they still led me here. And
But
so
it's you that made those choices.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that changed my life about 25, 27 years ago, pretty much at the same time I moved here in Vancouver.
Mm.
And it was about emotional intelligence. And then within that, I learned to become 100% responsible for my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very rare now that somebody will hear me say it's not my fault.
Wow.
Like I don't remember saying that beside
Right.
when I talk about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because hey, if something happened in my life, well, it's my fault
Right.
because I put myself in that
I allowed it.
situation.
Yes. Yes.
Or if
Mhm.
I'm driving and I got a car accident, well, I chose that route today,
Exactly.
right? Like
Right.
I don't blame other people for what happened in my life. And once I started to do that, I regained so much more power.
I love that you said that. Yeah.
It
Because
made a huge difference.
one of the first things they teach you in the 12 step programs, and all of them, I believe, is step one is to admit that you're powerless over whatever it is. And I'm
Mhm.
like, if I fought that for so long, I was like, but I'm not powerless. I have a lot of power. I'm more powerful than I ever thought I was because
Yeah.
you have so much control over you and
Yeah.
only you. You never could control the other stuff. That's the powerless part. You're powerless over anybody else, but you're completely powerful over yourself. And
Yeah.
so when they teach you that, now that the constant reminder of the I ams, I am, and it's tied to something that's so negative. That's why I stopped going to those rooms. I was like, I am, because constantly every day, I'm sorry, I am an alcoholic. Hey, my name is Yo, and I'm an alcoholic. Like, to identify with that and the stigmatism that comes with that, it's like, no, I'm not that. I'm not an alcoholic. I
Yeah.
had a relationship with alcohol that is changing.
I
That's
have an illness
I had
that
well, that
makes me
too.
want to
That too.
drink.
Even that is
Yeah.
starting to break its hold
Yeah.
on me. I don't even
Yeah.
say that anymore. Like, oh yeah, I have a disease of alcoholism. Do I though? Because when you start to really take ownership of your life and you start
Yeah.
realizing that you got here in your own choices, I can get to the next level on my own choices too. I don't have
Yeah.
I can choose not to drink. Instead of,
Exactly.
I felt like,
Exactly.
because the way they taught you in the school, in the rehab centers and in the programs, is like, oh, you have no choice, like you just can't. I'm like, yeah, I mean, but I can. I choose not to. That's more
Yeah.
powerful.
Exactly.
It's way more
Absolutely.
powerful to say I choose not to than say I can't. Can't is
Mhm.
powerless. I choose not to. That's powerful.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And that's what I became vegetarian years ago. Like I think now it's like 13 years ago or something.
Wow.
And then people tell me like, can you eat this? I say, yeah, I can eat it, but I choose not to. Yeah, I can eat anything,
Yeah,
but I just choose not to.
I choose not
It's
to.
not in my choice, you know? It's not like I'm following strict rules that, oh, if I put a piece of chicken in my mouth, I'm gonna die.
Right,
No,
right, yeah.
I mean, like I can eat chicken, you know, I just choose not to, you know?
And if you chose to, you could. And because
Yeah, exactly.
it's
If I choose to eat it, I could.
you could. It's just
Like
like
one
that.
time I went into a little networking event and there were little sandwiches here and there and they were not labeled and then some were vegetarian and some weren't, but not labeled, right? And then I take a piece of one of those little sandwiches, you know, no crust little sandwiches, very
Right.
cute. And
Yes.
then I was like, Then I eat it and then I chew and I say, I thought it was tuna. That was good. I went and get another one. I was
Yes.
like, "Hey, that tastes good," you know?
Right. Yeah, but you don't go into, but you didn't stop being, you didn't all of a sudden like change completely back to eating meat. You'd be like,
Yeah,
oh, that was
exactly.
good.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
good. That was a happy accident. I'm gonna do that again.
Yeah,
But
I was like, "Hey,
right, the
that
first
tastes
time's an
pretty good." I
accident, the
used
second
to
time's
love tuna
intentional.
sandwiches, you know?
Power.
So
That's
so that's
power.
what makes it, you know, and even, like, if I look at, you know, your, let's go back to, Motivational Comedian.
Yeah.
And so how does that work in your life now? Because you've done those 2 shows, one by accident and the other one on purpose, and the
Intentional.
next one coming up on purpose in
Yeah.
a month
Yeah.
and a half.
Yeah.
So how does that now gets into your life, and how do you
It
exterior that and share that with people?
Well, what I plan on doing with it is, I've always been told is, I mean, at least once a I mean, at least once a day, when I was really networking events and stuff like that, somebody had always told me, "Yo, I love your energy." Every time, whether it was on a platform, only audio, like on Clubhouse, or a podcast interview or a networking event, but I've always been told, yo, I love your energy. And I said, oh my God, if I could just get paid $1 for every time somebody said they love my energy, I would be a millionaire by now. And I was like, well, how do I share my energy? Like, I
How
don't
do
know,
I get paid for that?
right? But I would love to get paid for that. Like, oh, I love your energy. Oh, sure. Well, here you go. How
Give
do
me a
I
buck.
bottle this up? How do you bottle it up? How do I bottle myself up and present myself? Because that's what people were resonating with, was my energy. And
Yeah.
so the motivational comedy gives me a chance to share my energy. It gives me a chance to exude this natural joy that I have, right, through humor. I'm naturally funny. I don't even try to be sometimes. I just do things and people just laugh, right? And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at you. You just see, I was trying to do my confetti. Did it come out?
Then
Oh,
what?
there it
Hey,
is.
there we go. Woo!
Somebody told me I'm like confetti and silly string. So
Yeah.
because I'm like that, putting me on the stage and being in front of people, they get to have a little piece of that. They get to walk
Yeah.
away with some of that, you know? And hopefully that'll help them question things about their lives too, in a way that they can start to design their life and live their life for them, by them, you know, and not by all these other standards that we tend to live by outside
Yeah.
of us, other than source. Like,
Yeah.
me,
And
God.
are you working into building like a coaching business a little bit towards that also, like how to
Yes and
support
yes, yes
people?
and no. I don't know if I want to
Mhm.
call it a coaching business yet, but what I do is I take my Be Yourself I take the motivational comedy platform and I invite people to join me for the Be Yourself program. The Be Yourself program, at first, it was geared towards alcoholics and addicts, but that was a challenge, trying to find people who were as open as I am to admit that they had
Mhm.
an issue and want to help for it. So I had to reach back, again, dissecting my life. I went back and realized that me FILL-ing my life, when I said I feel it, that started way back in high school. Like in high school, I was what they call the overachiever. You know what I mean? I was making AB on a roll. I had a job. I had a boyfriend. I was in the pep club. I started a club. I was in the mentorship program. You know, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And but feel. And then that same system stuck with me all the way through adulthood. When I had my children, I was very active, PTA mom, coaching
Mhm.
basketball, you know, that when I was going to school, I got 3 associate degrees in 2 years. I got a bachelor's degree, 2 master's degrees. Like, I've always been over. And so I said, okay, well, how can I support the old me? And so the old me was in high school. So
Yeah.
now what I do is I'm taking the Be Yourself program to focus on overachieving students in schools between 12 and 24 with a heavy emphasis of social emotional learning. Like, because they don't even know that they're setting themselves up, you know, because I didn't even know what failure was like until I was 30 years old. I'd always been so successful in doing. I failed a test in my 30s and it was like, what is this feeling? This is failure? I don't know what this is.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't like it.
And I
You
don't
know,
like
how
it.
do I deal with that
What I
emotion?
did with it, I had no clue how to deal with it. So I went into a slight depression. That turned me into the drinking. I started drinking to feel better
Mm.
because drinking was more
Mhm.
fun. I'm fun now. I'm uninhibited. And I'm living this different lifestyle, and it just progressed until that night, March 11, 2019, when I tried to get hit by the car and run in the middle of the street because I didn't want to be here no more because I couldn't stop drinking.
Yeah.
All of that was a progression from way back
Yeah, yeah.
when I was in high school. So
Yeah, and because it does start somewhere,
it
you
starts
know?
somewhere,
It
and it
does
doesn't have
start
to start when
somewhere.
we're little kids. I mean, it could have started when I was a little child, but I can't go back that far because my memories kind of stopped. My
Yeah.
memories stopped somewhere in that younger age. Between
Mm.
most of my memories started right around my sophomore year in high school, but that's when I was starting being really busy. So anything before
Yeah.
that, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to connect to. So my goal is to reach these kids earlier. You know how adults say now, either they say it or you heard them say it, or either you've said it or you've heard them say it. If I only knew then what I know now,
Mhm.
that's what I want to stop the future kids from saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's no reason for you to be 50 years old and say, "Oh man, if I only knew then
I
what I know
wish I knew
now."
that.
You can know it right now.
Yeah.
There's not enough. I don't think there's enough adults who are trusting our kids to know now.
Yeah.
Like, why we gotta wait until they get, and that's, yes, you make your own mistakes, and that's valid. You get some learning from that, but you ain't gotta make the same mistake to that depth. You know what I mean? That depth that's going to disconnect you from who you are. You ain't got to make that level of the mistake. You can learn from old people.
Yeah, yeah, and I can see from your experience that it can be very detrimental. Like if you're a high achiever and you win, and you fail that test, and that could be black and white. All of a sudden, it's like, well, screw that, what's the point? Like you feel so bad that now you start to go down. It's like,
Exactly.
I'm not trying anymore.
Right.
I
'Cause you don't
fail,
know,
and like, why should I keep trying, to be perfect when I know I'm just a failure? I can't do
or the
this.
opposite. It could be that. It could be that. Why try? Because I'm a failure. But also it's the opposite. Oh well, no, I'm gonna beat this. That was my take. Was like, oh no, I'm going to
Mhm.
get this. I took that test 5 times. I was gonna get it. You know what I mean? So I pushed and pushed, but that's also detriment. Push and push and
Yeah,
push
yeah,
and push.
yeah,
So either way, it's an extreme that doesn't have to
yeah,
happen because I didn't know how to regulate my emotions. We don't
yeah.
teach our kids this in school, how to regulate their emotions. So my program is Amateur Adulting 101, how to prevent college burnout and how to prevent college burnout and addiction, because
Mhm.
they kind of roll together, you know.
So how do you reach these people?
That's what the comedy is going to come from.
Oh,
Part of it's going to
awesome.
be from the stages as
And you
I'm
want
going
to
to
be a comedian in college?
I will be going to the colleges. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
I plan on going to the universities, doing the comedy experience there, because
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the questions that I use in my experience are all tagged to the 6 basic rights of who you are as a human being. I take those 6 basic rights and I add a little question to each of them, and then they respond.
That's super cool.
So it's really cool. It gets you to walk away going, huh, why'd you choose the answer you chose? Or who else might have commonalities because it's a call to action. You have to bark like a dog or meow like a cat, depending on your choices. It's really fun. It's really interactive. And so I plan
Yeah,
to get that
yeah.
and just going to networking events and talking to people, meeting other parents of kids ages 12 to 18 who really want a holistic child. A lot of parents say they're raising holistic children, but they're really not. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They say they're raising independent children, but they're really not. Because independent means they make their own choices as early as they're capable, and you got to trust them. In order for them to trust themselves, they got to be put in position to trust themselves. Most
Yeah.
parents don't do that. Most parents are still like,
It's
yeah,
still like
let me,
helicopter parents, right? They're
yeah,
still
yeah, let me guide you. You can go this way or that way, but if you go this way, let me help you as much as I can.
Mhm.
Versus like they gotta figure it out. We're
Yeah.
raising adults.
Yeah, I talk about that in another show about being a helicopter parent as opposed to satellite parents, right? Like the helicopter, you're right on top of them. Satellite, you keep an eye. You let
Yes,
them do their thing. You let them do their
yeah,
mistake. You let them fall down, and if they really,
right.
really need your help, then you'll go and
I
support
like
them.
that.
But
I like that. Satellite parents. Yes. I need
yeah,
I want to work with helicopter parents who are willing because they don't want to be that, or satellite parents who want to have their children be given the tools and strategies they need to be that independent, holistic adult when they get to
yeah,
that adult world.
yeah.
So yeah.
And then further down, I mean, as you work with these people, once they, often, well, not so much anymore because it's so expensive. People don't leave home too early, but as
Right.
they go to university and all that, then you can still be there and support them to learn how to deal with all these things that are
Yes.
coming up in their
Yeah.
lives, and
Right. Yeah. That's
get
the
them
program.
ready to be on the, like, employers, and then move on in their life being emotionally stable and
Yes.
understanding their value and why they're there.
Yes. All of that
That's
and
super
more. That's
cool.
that's what Be Yourself Every Day does. That's the program, is to get young adults and preteens to realize that they actually have power and they can design their life. They don't have to wait till out of college to see what they want to do or wait till after high school to see what they want to do. They can start doing that stuff now. It's
Yeah.
2 o'clock. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you. So tell me, how can people reach you?
You can go to my website. It's www.beyourselfeveryday.com. And on the top left tab, this says Connect with Yo. And if you
Okay.
go there and click a connection call, we can get on a call together for 20 minutes. You can get some of this energy.
Ooh.
I can show you how to do these things.
Ooh.
I can show you how to do that stuff and a couple of little hacks to an Apple phone that most people don't know. That's one of my ways. Like, I can always give somebody something. I promise you, if you get on the call with me, I will find some way to support you in your life or your business. Promise. And I keep my
Awesome.
promises.
And then and then you have gift also, a
I
gift.
do 2-week trial in the Mincubator. The Mincubator is a virtual co-working space. Denise and I are part of the community called Mink Life, and it's a beautiful community. Monica Henderson is the genius activator that created this beautiful ecosystem of so many facets of support that you can't even explain it. But the Mincubator is a 2-week offer to come in and share space. We focus on 4 key concepts: life, business, branding, and networking. And the first hour of each day is focusing on life. So, in that, you'll focus on yourself, your lifestyle, your career, nurturing, and tribe. And I will be there the first hour to help guide you through that. It's like a series of questions that you don't typically get asked or that you don't typically answer on your own to get you
Mhm.
to really evaluate your life and what kind of life do you want. And if you're able to stay, you can go through business, networking, and branding. It's a come and go, but it's 4-hour sessions offered in the AM and in the PM hours. But
Nice.
I offer you to come and hang out with me. Come hang out in the
Yes.
Mincubator.
And we do have, I think, let me check the schedule. I think we do have a conference
We do.
about life
Yes, we do.
in January, right?
Yes, we do.
I think
I'm
it's
on. I'm
January
on there.
19th.
Denise is on there. Denise is.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
moderating. Are you training? You're training, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Denise is training. I'm not moderating this time. I am going to be on the panel.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I get to be on the panel. So yay!
That'd
And
be
a breakout
great.
session. I'm doing a breakout session on self care. So come hang out at the conference and find out 37 ways to say yes to you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you with
For
me
having
today.
me, Denise. I
I'm
love
super excited in the direction you're going. Here goes the heart.
me too.
I'm excited of the direction you're taking and helping young adults to teenagers and young adults to really understand their power and to use it for the better good for their life, for their future, for building their career, their personal life. I mean, there's so much. Once you take control of your life, once you take your power back, everything is out there. It's
Limitless,
endless.
limitless, truly limitless. Yeah.
I remember from, I think it was from The Secret, and they were saying that we're so powerful that we could lit up a city,
Oh, wow.
right? Like our energy
Yeah.
is so strong. If we
Yes.
were to learn to tap into that energy,
Yep.
that we could do so much. So,
Change the world. That's
mhm,
the goal. Change the world. Make it a better place to live for you and yours as you get older.
yeah,
That's what I want to do. Get the kids to do.
awesome. So, thank you. So, just stay there. I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
I hope you get great benefit from listening to Yo. So if you have any young, old teenager or young adult that could benefit from working with Yo, reach out again. Just go on our website, and here it is: be yoselfeveryday.com, and then just reach out to her and see what happened. Even you, she could help you too. And so thank you so much, Yo. So until next week, first, remember I have my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Belisle for all my previous episodes. And if you want to have a chat with me, it's tiny.cc/talk with Denise. So until next week, be kind to one another. Have a wonderful week. Happy December, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.